gentlemen and ladies. We had our first night at the museum a few weeks ago with Val Bartman, and I think we had one lady, so that at least that number is increasing. We've got a few beautiful women here. Welcome behind the bar as well. But tonight is not about the ladies or some of the guests. Although we welcome you here and we're glad you're here. But tonight is about one player in particular, Ray Mordt. I'm a bit too young, I'm old, but I'm a bit too young to have written during his career. I was at the Transvaal and Vaderland newspapers, and I met him later in life when he was coaching very successfully with a few greats. But if I think about Ray Mordt, I don't think about the 3 tries in that last flower bomb test or many other tries that he scored. I think about the human being, and I think that's what we celebrate. It's great to be a good Springbok, obviously, but it's much better to be a good human being. And Ray, I must applaud you. If I had a hit parade, you would have been in the top 10. Yeah, welcome here, Ray. And this is just a small honor for what you've done and for who you are. And that's one of the reasons we're keeping this small, is for everybody to have access to people like Ray. We can have 300 people functions and you see him in the corner or at a distance. So please, mix. I know he will, and I think Trevor Joe will always have a jersey to sign, and some other people will have books to sign. Go for it. Okay. Ray Mordt and guests. I mentioned earlier that we've got a guest of honor, and I think everybody knows who Ray Mordt was. Perhaps not who Ray Mordt is, but we've got some other special people with us. Right next to Ray is a born and bred Transvaaler, Dries Maritz. He played 1 or 2 games for Western Transvaal, but he played, and for Eastern Free State, I think you started out there, Dries. But he played 141 games for Transvaal and scored 49 tries, which were both records for quite a while. And then somebody else I want to mention, sitting at the head of the other table, Swys Jabeur. Swys is a Southwest Boertjie, much like somebody sitting at the table with him. Went on to Marties, played for Marties. I think he played the most ever in the varsities ever. And he played for Western Province. He came to Transvaal, he played for Northern Transvaal. And he retired before he went to far north of Stellarland. But this museum is Swys Jabeur's baby. I think if you walk through, you would have seen there's nothing like this anywhere in the world. Today when I put everything out, I had to honor Ray Mordt. And we had Ray Mordt stuff in the museum, and Rhodesian jersey. One of his Springbok jerseys, right behind you or in front of you. And we've got guests here that attends every function. Trevor Joe, Christo, the photographers Wessel Oosthuizen and DeonvanderMerwe. I don't know all of your names. I know Theo van Rensburg is not the fullback. He's got a place in Randburg, the world of rugby, state of the art. I hope you didn't tell them too much yesterday, but the Blues trained at his facility yesterday, and I saw quite a nice team picture with him and the picture with him and Sonny Bill. We've got Sonny Bill's jersey right in front, the number 12 all-black jersey. But guys, I'm going to give the mic to Swiss. I know he's probably not, he hasn't prepared anything. But Swiss, I think you're in charge here tonight. Will you welcome Ray officially and just say a few words?
Yeah, you caught me a bit offhand. I'm not a speech type. As Ray will understand, he's from Zim originally. We've got a lady there also from Zim. She's a younger generation of the Mugabe fashion, but we tried to get her right here, and she's not doing too bad. Raymond, if you talk about Ray Mordt, myself and him have something very common in, how do the Englishmen say, in place. We had a friend called Billy du Plessis. Billy du Plessis was my roommate at Stellenbosch. It's not about me, but I have to tell you the story. You know, you dream that you will become a Springbok and you go flat out. Dries will tell you that until your name is not read, you won't leave it, and you will dream of being a Springbok, and then you make peace with it, and then you carry on in life. But the name Ray Mordt and Billy du Plessis goes along. Billy was one of the naughty guys in the Springbok side. Maybe he can tell us a story or two. But Ray had respect for those guys because they were physical guys. At one stage, Billy du Plessis, if I can use him, we were, as I said, roommates. He go in the mountain there in Stellenbosch, he will take a tree and an axe, and then I'll have to chaff his girlfriend, which he's married to now, as he runs past Brenda every day to the gym, and I had to speak to her to open the road for him. But anyway, they got married. But it's physical people, and I think you like that. It's physical, it's strong people. Billy du Plessis were prepared to axe and cut trees with an axe, while I was now organizing the women for them, and maybe that cost money in the long term. But we've been at many Springbok trials together, and always, I must say, even from the D side when I must play, and maybe that was so easy for him that he made it then. He draws Swaisubar, and then I thought, no, okay, today I'm going to show him. But the thing I always remember is also Intervarsity. Then Raymond left Transvaal, and I was staying at UJ, and he went. We played Intervarsity at Tukkies, and it was going quite good today with Rao in those days, and I was just staying on top of this guy, and I was telling myself, they tell me you must like a pit bull or a little fox terrier. You jump on him and you hang on. But I think it's got the days 2 tries against me. Hanging on me, it doesn't help. You don't bring him down. But that's how I remember physically Ray Mordt. You know his hand off, his heap stamp. Andre mentioned all his tries, all his. It's to me, this is real Springboks. And then I can with honor say, to me, that is a real Springbok jersey, and that's the one there. And I can say, you know, they say in rugby, the older you get, the better you were. You know, you tell stories, maybe you get a little tail here and a tail there. But that jersey was the one he played in New Zealand, where he scored the 3 tries with. So, to me, that is Ray Mordt, and I treasure him in the corner here of Zimbabwe. And I think, Ray, for what you've done in coaching, you come with a World Cup team, you come with a great coach who died, Kitch Christie, we all know Kitch. I think you had such a full rugby career and history about you that actually we should honor you when the stadium has got 70 or 80,000 people. But thank you for you are here tonight. As a friend, it's maybe closer and more cozier. And you've done well in business. You know, if you really look at the old men, the old rugby players nowadays, it's a function here, it's a function there. That's not the function tonight to raise money for him. This is to honor him. But most of the old guys maybe didn't do or get far with a business and they didn't get on with it, and they struggle nowadays, and we try to help. But what a great gentleman, what a great businessman, what a great rugby coach, what a great rugby player, and what a great friend. I would like to come back to the Du Plessis. While you dream about the Springbok colours, you know, I was playing Western Province before Willie Du Plessis. I was on the wing and he was on the centre, then they switched us, and I remember that morning the burger had a picture of Willie Du Plessis that says he's in, and yeah, I was at the back page, but normally some sport oaks, when they read the newspaper, they start at the back. So the guys was first looking at the news that Swys is out and Willie Du Plessis is in. But we share great friends with the Du Plessis, and I think from the wartime, and if he can tell you where he comes from, provincial rugby, Rhodesian rugby were great. They had teams there, and they weren't easy. I mean, these were guys who were literally in the bush, in military clothes, and on weekends, the boots are off and the rugby boots are on, and they take a full joel, and they play their hearts out, and they made history. I mean, it's in all the books. So Raymond, it's an honor to welcome you and to say you're part of the museum. You and your family and whoever come here is always welcome to be part of us. And what a way to keep a legendary guy like yourself with his memorabilia here. And good luck, and we'll still like those of us that have to work and do business, give us some connections and some things what should we do and what we shouldn't do. Anyway, thank you very much. I haven't spoken a lot about your rugby, that's why you're here and you must tell us. But what a great friend, what a great man. Let's give him a hand. Ray Mordt. Thank you.
I think Swys Bear deserves a hand as well. I think in the era where they played two centres in the wing, Dries and Swys and Ray, friendships were more important than they are now in the professional era. The guys don't care in the Transvaal Hall after a match, they in ice baths and they truly professional, but they don't make many friends. But I think Raymond Mordt must have quite a few. Ray, I think we'll do a question and answer session, but maybe you should just tell a story or two from your past.
Dames en heren. That'll be all of it for tonight. Believe me, my Afrikaans is improving. I'd just like to thank you, Swys, Andre, and all your colleagues that are here for this evening. It really does mean a lot to me. I mean, I have to be honest, I don't expect to be honoured in any way whatsoever. You know, rugby was just something that I really loved and I enjoyed, and I was very dedicated. And to see my friends, Swys, Dries, Wessel, Andre, it's amazing to have played with you guys and you colleagues, and I can assure you, you guys were all that close to being a Springbok. And those days, it was a bit of a hit and miss. It's one missed tackle or one lucky try and you get put in the team. That's how close. It was very, tough. I mean, if we go back with Doc Donnie Craven, I saw a lovely picture of our Doc, who we miss dearly, Mr. Rugby, Mr. World Rugby in his own time. You know, we used to have trials, and they used to pick 8 teams, and you'd have the Prof. Elif team, the Donnie Craven team, and so it would go on, and we'd all gather, whether it was in Pretoria or Stellenbosch, and you'd come in like a school at a hostel, go to the board and check your names up there, and you'd see who you're playing with. The team would meet probably the morning before you're going to play and go through your moves, and then you'd have it, and then you'd play. And then of course there used to be, I think, 7 selectors from around the country who were highly respected. You'd always see them sitting together there in their suits, or nice and neatly, and after each day of trial, because it used to take a week, after each day, what would happen, you'd come back to the team, and then you'd see probably 2 teams or 1 team is gone. And you'd say cheers to your mates, and they'd be gone, and slowly it would measure down till there's 4 teams left, 2 games in the last day, and then you'd gather to yourself that you're playing in the A or B team. And so there was a lot of pressure. It was really a lot of pressure, and a lot of luck too. You had to have a lot of luck that you get a good break and you make some good tackles, and you do something very special on the day in front of the selectors. And then in the end, hearing your name being called out. I remember I was in the room with Don du Plessis in Silverton in Pretoria. And I roomed with Don, who's a bit older than me. And I sat there. I think the selection came out like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And of course it was all in Afrikaans. And I couldn't hear, I just heard them say, and die span is, and they would go through the team, and then I'd just say, I heard my name, Ray Mordt. And I said, Don, is that what's happening? He said, no, you're in. No, you don't understand. It's the feeling. The feeling is something that you cannot explain. It's the most fantastic feeling you have in your life when it comes to sport. It's almost like when you have your first child. It's an incredible feeling. Because it's a special achievement, and for me, those are the memories that I remember playing for South Africa. And of course, the pressure when you run onto that field, as much as you think you're playing for yourself, you're playing for this country, you're playing for your family, and of course you're playing for yourself. Like people ask me, even Currie Cup games, people ask me, they say, how was it when you ran out of the field? And to this day, I promise you, when I ran out of the field, and bear in mind that Currie Cup games used to be capacity those days. When you see Loftus now, it used to be capacity. We didn't have the TV coverage as they do today. I never ever saw anyone in the stand. I never focused on anyone and said, geez, there's something nice to look at. And I was on the wing, eh? So I mean, I had time to do things. So what I'm saying is that that's how focused one was. You know, and I tried to say to myself, and I did inside myself, I said, I loved this so much, and I wanted this so much because I didn't have much more than that. I was not very good at school. So this was something like I grabbed onto. And I said to myself, I'm going to relinquish this position when I'm ready to go. And I'm happy to say that that's the way I left. I always give my great friend, who I think is the greatest rugby player South Africa has ever had, Donnie Gerber, him and Frick, of course, and Naas, you know, those 3 guys come to mind. But I always said to Donnie, because when I left, he went to the wing and he played on the wing. I said, just Donnie, you made a real fool of yourself there. And we have a bit of a banter, but you know, he knows it's all a joke. He's one wonderful player. I was very, very fortunate to have played in an era with some great players. Unfortunately, we played in apartheid years, but for me it was the progress of where our country was going. So even though in the 5 years or 6 years that we was playing for South Africa, 1 year 10 tests, and then over the next 4 or 5 years we only had 8 tests. It was the progress. That's the way we were going. We were part of the history going forward, and just to have played for South Africa was very, very special. I mean, playing in New Zealand, going to New Zealand was something, you know, when I got back a couple of years later, or even probably when I'd retired, and you thought about playing in New Zealand, I thought, you know, maybe that tour shouldn't have gone on. But while I was young, I didn't worry. I didn't understand politics. I didn't care. I just wanted to play the All Blacks because it was the ultimate. Whether we play on the dirt road or we play on the tar, I just want to play against the All Blacks. That's the feeling it was. You know, that was how big that All Black rivalry was. And I mean, we all know when Jones, the Michael Jones, him and Zinza and Brook for many years used to play in their back garden with their brothers, and one side would be a Springbok and the others would be, and they tell that story. And Michael Jones, when he landed here at the airport, he walked down off the airplane and kissed the tar and thanked the good Lord. He said, I'm here, I'm going to play against the Springboks. I think that must have been 92. He was right at the end of his career, but it happened for him. Zinzanbroek was in that team too, I think, at Ellis Park. So there's some lovely, lovely memories. I mean, you know, when I come and look at my provincial rugby, it was nice. I played in Rhodesia those days, now Zimbabwe, and Alan Sutherland, I was telling the guys earlier. Alan Sutherland, I was playing for the under-20s. There was a great player in outside. Vessel, you'll know Danny Dalport.
Yes.
He went off to the bush to do duty because we were in a terrorist warfare at that time. The selectors were going to pick some other guy, but Alan Sutherland walked into the selecting committee and he told them basically, I want that youngster Mordt from under-20s, and he's actually the guy who picked me. And from there I played against Western Province in my first game. Western Province, which had the Flippy DeonvanderMerwe was a young guy also coming into the side. Robbie Cockrell, Morne du Plessis, Boulan Kutsi was still playing. Rob Lowe wasn't around then, but anyhow, they had a one powerful side. Devon Serfontaine at centre, Bossy Clark played on the one wing, and the guy that I've always rated very, very highly, I don't know, Aggie Koch. He was one very, very special wing, and then Darby Snyman at fullback. And I managed to score a try from almost my 22 metre. I didn't know what I was doing, I was just playing. Because I didn't know who these guys were. And that's where my career started. And then I played one more other game for Rhodesia, and then I got dropped back to the under-20s. But then I realised to myself, I want to go back there. And then, not fortunate for Eric Barrett, but he got injured. And Ian Robertson came to me, who was my mentor. In my life, he was a great mentor to me and showed me what dedication is and showed me my weak points and said, these are the things you're going to have to work on if you want to play rugby in South Africa. You get away with it here in Zimbabwe, but in South Africa, it's another story, it's another level. And so he helped me tremendously. But Eric Barrett got injured, he hurt his ankle, and Ian came to me and whispered me, he said, the selector's going to ask if you can play on the left wing. Because left wing and right wing those days was a big thing. Today you've got to be able to play left wing, full back, right wing, come in and fly off, which is lovely. You can run wild today, which is it's really nice. And that's what happened. They asked me, and I went and played on the left wing. I played most of my games for those days Rhodesia, and then a few games for Zimbabwe when the country changed on the left wing, and then eventually right wing was my preferred position. But my first game for Rhodesia, I remember, never forget, because coming from the under-20s, that first game against Western Province at our famous police grounds in Harare, and we used to get a crowd of about 22,000 to 25,000 capacity, but it felt like 100,000. It was packed. Dries and Swayze, you guys will remember. Vessel, you'll remember. We used to have quite a fierce, and then of course the old Prime Minister Ian Smith used to be there, and we used to go in the morning to the President's house and have a cup of tea and cake before the game, and so it was really something special, and have a photo with the President right there, and it's a beautiful country, man. And we walked in the change rooms, we warmed up and we got in the change room. Of course I was nervous. I roomed with a great guy who passed away, I think last year, a very good friend of mine, Rob Stewart. He passed away, and I was in the room with him. He's a lock, he's about 6, 7, 8 years older than me, and I couldn't sleep, and he said to me, and he's a big guy with a big beard, and he said to me, "Hey, Lighty, you're a bit restless, eh?" I said, yeah, I'm restless. He said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Yeah, but Rob, my feet are sweating." He said, no, just stick them out at the end of the blanket there and relax. I will look after you, Lighty, don't worry, you just play tomorrow. I said, okay, Rob. And he did, he looked after me. But going into that change room with Alan Sutherland, and Alan Sutherland was in New Zealand, an 8th man. He stayed behind because he fell in love with Vera Johns, Miss South Africa. And he was a very big man with big hands and a great rugby player. And I'll never forget the way he came in that change room. He was frothing from the mouth. He had white froth from his mouth because his mouth was dry, and he turned around and he started screaming in that New Zealand accent. And he was saying the words, swearing a lot, I won't say anything here, but he was basically saying, "You buggers better follow me today, and we're going to be like a pack of dogs. And I'm telling you, one of you, don't follow me today. I'm telling you now, I'll kick your asses off." Now, Nick Topping who was a great player. He used to get so nervous with the game, and the change rooms were small. This is the change rooms here where we are sitting. That's how it is today. Today they can run freely. Nick Toppin started to bring up in the showers while he was talking because he was so nervous. I sat there in the corner. I said, "Oh God, I want to go back to the 20s, please. This is too much pressure," you know. And that's where it started. So it was just famous, and we won that game 18-9, which I think we hadn't beaten. We hadn't beaten Western Province in 37 years. You can check it up. We won. I think it was 18-9. We beat them there. Problem is when we went down there, I think they hammered us 36-6. But you know, and then so my rugby career was, you know, I really enjoyed it and loved it, and I enjoyed playing for Transvaal. I didn't have many games here because we had the New Zealand tour in 1981, and you know, we had Appies Tutoy was our coach here. I did love the old man, but he wasn't my favourite coach, or you know, he wasn't the type of guy that I could get on with. You see, I'm a type of guy that I play for somebody, or I work for somebody. That's who I am. More than all right, when you play for your country, it's a bit different. But when I'm, you know, if I'm playing with a coach, like I played for Kitch at Harlequins, I play for this guy. You know, I like to get a bit of acknowledgement. So, you know, that's who I am. Maybe I'm a softie in that way, but that's how I am. You know, and I couldn't find a way to play for him because he didn't understand me. So eventually, of course, I left my great friends Swayze and Dries and went and played for
Rogers.
And Chris Rogers and Tito Lupini and John Robbie, and we can go through, and Leon Kirkham, all of them old, you know, I mean, and I left and went and played for the Northern Transvaal at that time, and it was a different culture there. I have to tell you, that's how it was. And I think the culture the Lions have now is exactly what we had there. It's the Rudolph Strali and Kevin de Klerk and all these guys getting involved with the players, knowing their names, saying hello. Because I remember we came down to practice, my first practice there, I arrived there for Northern Transvaal, and there was Prof Ilov. Well, welcome Ray, welcome. He knew everybody's name. You know how lekker it was. It was nice, and such a gentleman. So it's the kind of guy that you can go out and kill for. And I think this is the culture you got here. And that's so important, because cultures and building a family and building a gees, what brings the best out. Yes, you still got to have talent, you have to have great players.
Sorry to
but if you can get
that's
that
a culture we don't have in the Cape Coast.
In the Cape. Is jy weer man? Yes.
That's where the problem lies.
But anyway, I'm just saying that's something that doesn't happen overnight as well. The players have got to bring it towards each other, you know, because, and that's why is when you coach a team, I don't want players to be quiet. I want players to be hard on each other. I don't want to shout at the players. The players should be telling you, hey, listen, concentrate. I'm telling you now, the way we practice is the way we play. So the more the players get into each other, and the more the players respect each other, and the more the players realize how serious it is, because they're going to have laughs, they're going to have fun. But going out in the field is business. It is business. This game today is professional, and it's a business. That's why the refs get watched. It's all about money, whether they like it or not. And the more you win, the better it's going to be. So, and I'm glad the players get paid well, because it's a hard and tough game, and they stuff their bodies up. And they're playing a lot of games today. But anyway, the culture that you guys have got in the Lions camp starts from the top, and it's something very, very special, which you mustn't break. And that's the culture we had. I must say it. When Doc Lake was here, we had a brilliant culture. You know what I mean? I mean, Doc, he is a different man, but we built a brilliant culture. I mean, Harry Fulun was here. He coached an incredible side. I mean, he got most of those players to play some tremendous brand of rugby. We've all seen it. And then Harry left. He probably, if he stayed on another year, he probably would have got some more results, but he didn't. And that's when, hence, Kitch Christie came in, and I was driving. I had started my little business, and I was driving in Delmas. I'll never forget. And Kitch phoned me and said, "You're my assistant coach." I said, "But I'm not allowed to, because I played professional rugby in Wigan." In those days, you would. No. Doc Late said, "Don't worry, you come here now. There's a game tonight. We had a night series game, Lion Cup or night series. Yeah. Come here now, and Kitchen and Doc later had a bottle of wine or two each at lunch. I saw Kitch was tipsy. I just stood at the back there, and we'd taken over, and before we had a training session with him, we actually came to a game. And Kitch told them how he thought they should play against. We were playing the Bulls. We beat them. Or it was, yeah, I think it was the Bulls. And I'll never forget the first practice we had. Kitch spoke to all the players. And the players with Harry had a different culture because they were, hello coachy, hello Harry, hello this and that. And they started to get familiar with Kitch. They ran around the field, and he called them all, and he said, hey, listen here, let me tell you guys something. I'm old enough to be your father, all of you. And let me tell you something now. You either call me Mr. Christie, or Coach. Okay. You, James Dalton, I'm not your coachy. Okay. You better understand me. Right. Get around the field. And I used to run with the guys a bit. And then they laugh, and they said, and then they complain. But not one of them ever stepped out of line from there on. Kitch always showed them respect, okay, and he spoke to them like men, and he looked at them in the eyes, and he told them whether they're going to play or they're not going to play. And there we built a team second to none. I'll never forget, we went on a tour. I'm not talking too much. I'll never forget, we went on a tour. We took this young Lions side. South Africa, Nas was still playing. We took the young side over to England to play before Francois was captain, or before he was a Bok or anything. And Nas was playing for the Boks. I think Peter Hendricks was with the Boks. Ian MacDonald was with the Boks. John Williams was the coach. I think we got hammered by England there at Twickenham because we went to watch the game. But we had Lappies Labuskaki, the lock. Yeah, he's a lovely guy. Lappies, he was playing there, and we were flying down. And we were right at the beginning. So it's the end of the season. The guys didn't know us as coaches. We didn't know them as players. So we were just taking them on the tour to play there. And going down there, they started that runabout like you guys. On the aeroplane, they were dropping. Lappies. And Kitch said, just looked at them, he just kept quiet, Kitch. And Lappies just said, Coach, when you worry me, there's no soties who can take us on. I promise you. I'll never forget. And I think we played, our first game was Gloucestershire. I think it was Gloucestershire, where Uckers is now. And let me tell you, these guys, they hit us about 40-something. Because they played everything faster than we could even think about what was going on. And after that game, you know, the players have their initiation for some new players, and they have the, what do we call it? Kontiki, and so coaches are invited into the Kontiki, but we've got no say. Coaches, you can sit there, but this is the players' Kontiki, and then there were 3 or 4 players that had to be initiated. So Kitch sat there at the back. I sat with him quietly, and so the initiation was horrific those days. It came through the years, right, going back from Gerald Bosch and Moner and all the guys and us at least and everything. It was horrific. So the players went outside. They came walking inside, naked, blindfolded, and as the guy comes in, the first guy would hit him, but I mean as hard as he can, across the chest here, and then someone on the back here, but and then he had to go up the front there and sing a song, and then he had to do some funny things I don't want to talk about. And then they put him on the table there, and like this, lime on the table, pour beer on him, and everyone pats him, and they sing. Wow, well, Kitch just sat there. He let it happen. I mean, these players their bodies were blue because it's. Anyway, he let them happen. And next morning, he called Francois Pinion and some of the senior players, and he said, "Ray, please come with me." And he said, "Guys, what I saw is unhumane. It's it's not what the good Lord would like you to see. When you achieve to be playing for your Lions team, to be initiated this way, I know it might be the tradition, but this is not the tradition I want to see. You can do a lot of other things that are much nicer than this. He said, how's that player going to play the next day? He's supposed to be in the team, you've already beaten him to pieces. No, basically, and he said, we're going to change this culture. It's got to be an honor to play for this team. And I think that probably that culture's continued today, because that's where it really changed. And he spoke to the captain and the players, and he said, I would like you guys to really consider it, to change this. And Francois Pien and them all agreed upon it, and from that time on, it's, you know, the team, not that the players complained, it's just that those are the kind of little things that Kitch did, you know. So it was amazing to play with him. I'll never forget, we went down, Kitch was quite a funny guy. We went down, and I'm going to the club champs when Harlequins won the club champs for the first time. 1983, yeah. We beat Stellenbosch in the semis, and then we beat Tukkies in the final. We actually gave them quite a good idea. And that night before the final, Jannie Breed was still a youngster then, Ashley Schafter, and there was one other guy, Cliffy Brown. They sneaked out. And Kitch, we were staying in the Maharani. I think Kitch had broken up, I think it was a 50-buck note or a 100-buck note. He had given to the doorman. He said, if any of my players go out, I'll give you the other half in the morning. Yeah. So that guy, he saw 3 of them come out. He said, boss, I saw 3 guys. He said, which 3? I said, I don't know, but 3 of your players. So Kitch came first to my room, because he knew I'd be there. He said to me, these 3 guys gone out. I said, okay, coach. We found out who it is. So Kitch was, you see, Kitch is a very disciplined guy. He makes a decision. They're not playing in the final. They're not playing in the final. So the 3 players are not playing in the final. And he chased them out the room, and then me and some of the players came to him and said, listen, please, coach, please, just listen to us. We've got to have these guys in the team. We cannot have them out. I mean, he said to me, well, you know what? Called all the players. Called all the players, and he said, right, guys, I don't want to play these guys. And then all the players said, please, coach, we're not playing. He said, that's fine. And you guys want to play with them, that's no problem. It's your decision. I go with it. I back you. But if I had my way, I'm not playing you. Because what they've done is against the code of our conduct of code. And he called each player in one by one. And he said, now you tell this team, what are you going to do for them today? I can tell you what, these 3 guys, when they came in, all 3 cried. Started crying. Tears. That was enough. The final was won. The way he brought those guys together, the final was won. And that was it. So, you know, that was the type of thing Kitch did. I mean, I'll never forget when the Transvaal or Lions, we hadn't won the Currie Cup for 20 years. Then we beat the Sharks down, your team, down in Durban.
99.
Was it 99?
No, not that late.
No, it was 94, 5.
94, 5. Yeah.
3, 4, 5. 3, 4.
93.
Yeah, 93.
Yeah, that
93, Dries.
that's 30 years, I think.
Yeah. First, 93. We flew down in the morning.
22 years.
Yeah, we flew down in the morning from here. Because Kitch used to phone Disney World, and he used to get the weather reports from Disney World. Because they say, okay, yeah. He used to phone Disney World and get the reports. No, he used to think right out of the box. Phone Disney World, and they got the most accurate weather reports throughout the world. Yeah. No, amazing. No, that's what he used to do. And he phoned Disney World. They said, no, the weather's going to be this, the humidity, the temperature, the wind. So we had a bloody good idea what was happening. The kickers went down like the day before, Dries. Kickers went down to do the kicking, but the rest of the team got together, assembled, went down there, tried to keep them nice and calm and cool, and got into the hotel and our rooms there, not for long, and just sat there, had some nice food and everything. And then he called me and he said, Ray, I don't know how we're going to motivate this what, haven't you got something you can tell me from your playing careers that can motivate these guys? So I said, oh, Kitch, I've got something. He said, what is it? I said, I'm going to tell them a story about the third test in New Zealand in 1981. He said, okay. He said, what's it? I said, no, you listen. It's just real. It's from my heart and it's real. So all the players sat in there and I got up and I said, listen, gentlemen, in 1981 in New Zealand, played against the All Blacks. It's a final test. It's to see who's going to win the series. I'll never forget, we lost that test, as we all know. But when we came off the field, I remember going into the change room and I saw a lot of my teammates in tears because we should have won that game. We could have and should have. In tears, saying, if only I'd just made that tackle, if only I'd just supported him, if only I'd just made that pass. So what I'm saying to you players, don't come off the field saying, if only I just made the tackle, if only. If we come off the field today and we've all put our job in, then we must say we've been beaten by a better side. So you got to go. That's my message to you guys. You cannot leave anything out there. And the rest is history. You know, the rest is history. But guys, those are just some nice stories. I don't want to talk too much here because it's very relaxing for me to talk to you guys and my friends and a lot of my work colleagues here, my Rio children, I call them my sons, and they actually run my business while I can go to Cape Town. And it's lovely to have young people with me. I love being with young people because I like to try and mentor people. Because don't matter, you get older, you don't have the energy that they have and the go they have, but you do have the experience and the knowledge. And that's something you must hand over. That's why a lot of great coaches are older guys. They're older, they're more relaxed, they handle pressure better, and they have so much knowledge and they've had so much experience which they can hand over to players. So it's nice to have those guys with me. They play a very big role in my company, and I like to mention it. Talking about the Duplessis brothers, well, I mean, let's just say what an amazing family. And we all know the Prince of Wings. Carl was a great player. Jakes was a young one. Nice little winger is Jakes. He's done very well in business, I believe. And then, of course, Swayson, our great friend, is Willie Duplessis, a very powerful, strong man. He was probably way ahead of his time physically. He would have been perfect in today's game. You know, he was a devastating tackler and a very strong guy, and had a very short fuse. And there were times, you know, if you played in a game and you had Willie playing and Nas wasn't passing the ball, he would tell Nas. He was a quiet guy, but he would tell Nas, pass the ball. You know, so they were very strong characters and amazingly talented guys. And Willie and I roomed for most of the tour in 1981. And when we used to go around, and this is a nice story for you know, because they thought I was this big bushfighter. Meanwhile, I was in the post office in the war. So we had Errol Tobias on tour with us, and it's a nice. And Errol was, you know, and when we got there, they called him Uncle Tom because he was the only coloured guy with us and everything. And he was a great player. Errol was a great player. Remember how he played against England. But anyway, when they went around, usually we used to travel on the bus to each place, because I think we had 16 games there, 3 tests. We only lost the test series, we won every other game. Oh, we drew with the Maoris, and quickly with the Maoris, which was controversial with the drop kick at Colin Beck, but he says to me it didn't go over. But they gave it to us and we drew. But on the bus, they send the names around at who's going to be rooming. And they never ever put me with Errol. Then I asked them, why haven't you put me with Errol? They said, no, we can't put you with Errol. You've just come out of a bushwalk. Meanwhile, I was the most liberal guy there. I mean, I mean, you know, that's how it was. You know, I'm an easygoing guy. I like to have fun. I like to laugh. I like to talk nonsense. Yeah, and then of course I do try and get a bit serious when there's work or there's problems. I do get serious because you know, that's part of life, and it's good. But it's lovely to be here. I can't thank you enough because I probably don't deserve it, but I appreciate what you've done and in honouring me, Swayze, and the Lions Rugby Union and Andre. You've always been great friends to me, and we don't always see each other, but it's always the same. We know that you come and visit me anytime. I'm an easygoing guy. Any of you can come anytime and have a cup of coffee if I'm there, and we can talk nonsense. But
Which golf course?
thank you very much.
Thank you. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I don't know, most of you must have. To hear Ray Mordt talking from his heart. But there's many stories, I believe. Some that's not on tour. What happens on tour stays on tour. But you left out something important about New Zealand, Ray. That test, that fateful flower bomb test. I think you scored a few tries.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I said, those days then, it's, you know, I mean, I was on the end of the ball, and I mean, the rest of the team does the work, and I got to just finish it off. But yeah, it was something very, very special. It's something you never dream of. I remember my brother and my then girlfriend became my wife. They were all had to drive down to Bike Bridge to watch the TV then. That's how long ago it was, no TV. But anyway, and it just happened, you know. I mean, you go out to the field and you never think it's going to happen, and that's the way life is. But the whole thing is that if you're prepared, and these things can happen, and luckily the ball came my way. I mean, Nas gave me a beautiful pass in the last one, and Colin Beck put a nice grubber through. So, yeah, I finished them off, and it was something very, very special, and something that I'll always cherish. The only sad thing is that I've got a record no one's ever going to beat in this country. He scored 3 tries against All Blacks and lose. So, you know, that's also something very special. But there again in New Zealand, you know, I love the New Zealand people. And just quickly, you know, we all stayed in the stadium. The first game we stayed in the clubhouse, slept on bunk beds, mattresses. We slept in the squash courts, and we lost that first test 16-9, you know, something like that, 14-9. And that night, Dani, myself, Barry Volrens, Casey Pienaar, there was 1 or 2 others. We decided we were going to go out. So we went out, and Prof Carson told us nobody goes out tonight. But we had made plans, so we made our beds like, you know, like an old story. You put the pillows and this and that, and then we sneaked off out the squash courts. Yeah, and what happened is the Patuagas, the protesters came that night, early hours of the morning. They came and they got quite aggressive because they were very organised. They had an on shift and an off shift, and they would make noise and clatter tins and noise with helmets on in the winter, in the cold there. And of course we used to get on the bus. Dani Gerber used to swear the hell out of them through the window there. Yeah. And they used to throw eggs with ink in and everything. But anyhow, that night they came and tried to break into the squash courts and everything like that. And then Prof Claessens got a bit nervous, and he came and put the lights and said, "Come man, come and help you a bit." You know, because we had a police force looking after us, but they weren't there at the moment. And he saw there's 4 or 5 guys missing from this room. Anyhow, we got home at 7 that morning. And I'll never forget Prof Claessens. He was a very serious guy. I actually loved him because he was a disciplinarian, which I think we miss a lot of today. He was the old culture. And of course, me being a Soti, the guy said to me, Ray, you're going home for sure. Because you can't even talk Afrikaans. When he calls you in the room, he doesn't talk English. So how are you going to tell him your story? This is going to be a big problem for you. So, but the nice thing is, Donnie is also cooking himself. Anyway, and Rob Lowe goes in, because you remember he was with the New Zealanders and everything like that. He got into a lot of trouble. Donnie says to me, Ray. And his English at that time wasn't that good. He said, we go together, eh? And then you talk English to Prof. And if he talks back, you talk English till he doesn't want to talk anymore. But I'm shucking myself. So we wait outside like schoolboys, like the headmaster, and we stand, and then Prof said, come in. He said, yeah, and what's your story? I said, well, Prof, Donnie's keeping quiet now. No, Prof, what happened is, we met these people afterwards, and they asked us if we would have a little barbecue with them. They call it a little barbecue with them, and we started to talk to them and tell them about our country and what was going on, and before we knew what, Prof, it was 7 in the morning, 6 in the morning, whatever. Serious, Prof, we were telling them about our country, and they just wanted to know more and more about it. Yeah. He doesn't say anything now. And then he just says to Donnie in Afrikaans, is that reg, Donnie? And then Donnie answers in English, Ray has told you everything, Prof. So we were fine, but I mean, those are incidents. But I must say, I know a lot of people mention, but I enjoyed Prof. Claessen's discipline. It's the way I like it. He was an amazing guy. But that was an amazing tour. We had a great bunch of guys. We're still great friends. We do see each other now and then. Hennen van Aswegen is having something out on his farm. Yeah, we're going out there to have a golf day at the end of the month.
He's niet Tigerbrand.
Is he still working?
I don't know.
No, he's got his own.
Used to be Tigerbrand.
Yeah.
Christiana.
So
Christiana.
Yeah, Christiana.
Yeah. So there's a lot of us going out there. But so that's tremendous. But otherwise, yeah, it was a nice tour, and the whole of New Zealand was split up at that time. I mean, a lot of families split up as well. Families, because they didn't want the tour, and some wanted the tour because some people just wanted rugby and everything. But New Zealand people now, sometimes I go to schools and they say, Ray, come and have a chat to the school boys. So I say, yeah, I went to one of these schools, Red Hill, by the way, in Morningside. And I sat there and I said to the guys, it's fantastic, you're going on tour, you're going to enjoy it, you're going to remember these friendships for the rest of your life. When you get older, you'll remember these tours you went on and the things you did and the fun you're going to have, and you might even meet each other through business, I mean, I said, but let me tell you, when you get to New Zealand, you're going to meet the nicest people you've ever met in the world. They are down to earth, they are placid, beautiful culture, lovely people. I said, but one thing is when they get on the field, they change. They change. They have an arrogance about them in rugby. Not a horrible arrogance. An arrogance is that they want to show you they're the best. And that's why, and I told them, be careful, because when they get on the field, you're going to see another guy. And that's why I always say to my players who play in South Africa, or anyone here, you've got to have inner arrogance. You must be arrogant, but not in swearing, shouting, being rude, in the way you play. I want a person to have his arrogance. Every one of you must have arrogance. Get on that field. You're physically and mentally prepared for this. I want to see the inner arrogance. Go and prove that you're better than those players. It's like the Lions tomorrow. That's what they've got to have. They've got to have that inner arrogance. Go out there, go about their job as a team and make it happen. And that's what the New Zealanders are. That is exactly what they are. And that's why I'll say it now. I was speaking to a friend of mine and I said, every time we play, and this is for me to tell the Lions, every time we play New Zealand teams this year, say to yourself, this is a toots. Say to yourself, this is a toots, boys. This is not Lions Blues or Lions Highlanders. It is a toots. Play them as a test. Play your rugby, but say to yourself, this is a test, because we need to get the better of these guys. So we need to realize every time we play them, not just playing for the Bokke. We need to start now in provincial rugby. We need to show them that we need to change our mindset to playing this is a toots. And guys, you know what we mean by toots? Everything is faster and quicker. And it's got to happen. We've got to make bigger decisions. The tries will come, but let's play the game to win. And that's all I'm saying. Thank you.
This was very, very special. Even those guys that worked with Ray, I don't know if you've heard all these stories. It's unbelievable.
Just they've heard a lot. you know what they've heard. Let me be honest on that. They've heard. Thank you, Tracy. They've heard, like someone said earlier, feel that we were good. You know, it's makes the older you get, the better we get.
It was great listening to him. I remember getting up in the morning in front of the old black, we had a black and white TV, but the All Blacks were black and Springboks were white. And we watched those tests. They were heroes, and it was a great team. But he could have gone on probably for the whole night. But after his hat trick in New Zealand, the Boks stopped off in the United States. They played a test there. He scored another hat trick. So it's 2 hat tricks in 2 games. And they came back and they played the Jaguars. And in that first test against the Jaguars, he scored a brace, 2 tries. So it wasn't bad going, Ray. 3 test matches, he scored 8 tries. And then I think, Ray, if you could join me, there's something I think we must touch on. And we were in the isolation years, we didn't play many tests. And then Ray and Rob Lowe decided to play professional rugby. And they went to Wigan. Tell us shortly, Ray, if you could do it again, would you have stayed to play against the Cavaliers in '86? Are you happy with your decision?
I think the people are falling asleep here. No, Andre, thank you. Andre is such enthusiasm, and you can see how much rugby means to him. And it's fantastic to see that you're so involved here, Andre. It's lovely. Now, look, when Rob Lowe and I left, it's actually one of the saddest times of my life. But I had to make a decision because, I was playing rugby. My last game here was in '85, and I'd had this offer since '77 to go and play rugby league. And then I had a look at to be honest with you, there was a New Zealand tour and there was another British Lions tour possibly coming out.
And the World Cup.
Okay, yeah, and it was cancelled again. And I had a look at myself, and I'm serious. And they were offering me. We ended up earning. It was a lot of money to us, 62 or 65,000 pounds for 3 seasons overall altogether, which was like 370,000. It was a lot of money 35 years ago. And I looked at myself and I looked at my family and I said, I haven't got a property, I haven't got anything. I said, I've got to do this. As much as when I went over there, I didn't like it. The weather is horrible, it's everything. Do I regret it? No, I don't regret going, guys, because at the time I couldn't play for South Africa anymore. If I could play for South Africa, it wouldn't have been, not even been negotiable. I would have stayed here. So when Rob and I left, Donnie was actually supposed to come, but he never arrived at the airport. Yeah. And we went over there, and it's a different game. It's quite a tough game, and I don't think it's any tougher than rugby union. If you look at the way the guys hit the rucks and things like that today, and of course our tackling is just as big as theirs now, so it's just a different game. And of course what I did see in their game is their attitude is far more aggressive and very, very strong attitudes. And they talk all day and with each other on the field, which is happening in rugby now. That's why I'm saying the players, the more they communicate, the more they talk. You don't want a quiet team. You want a team that communicates, talks to each other. If Dries is not in line, I've got to shout to him, Dries, get in line. Even if you're tired, they don't know you're tired, but get here. And these are the kind of things that make a special side. So, no, you're one hell of a player. So it was nice, and I'll never forget my first game. We played against, I think it was Winston, one of the teams, Widnes. Not Widnes, it wasn't Widnes, but anyhow, it was one of the smaller teams. And they, in Wigan, they put videos in all the pubs, because all you do there is go to the pubs and eat pub lunch and have a beer at night, and they put videos, and they're rugby league crazy in Wigan. It's a much bigger game than their soccer is, and I'm sure it's still like that. And they put all these pubs, and they put all the new player in. They got videos of me coming in, and Rob Lowe and Shane Trice and all the people said they buy tickets. They must have paid for us in one game because we weren't getting much. Anyway, and that night it snowed. So the next morning on the pitch was, I don't know, 2 foot of snow. And they went on the radio and they said, look, if you want to see the game today, we need people to come out and help us sweep the snow. Just 400 or 500 people get out there. They want the game to go on. They sweep the snow off, you'll see it piled up on the sides there, and then of course you run out in that field and you can feel your boots go through the ice. And before I went out there, you must know all these guys have got, a lot of them have got all tattoos. Everyone's got tattoos now. But those days we didn't see a lot of tattoos, and they had no teeth. I'll tell you what, we were good-looking guys there. Rob, and I was sitting there. Rob wasn't playing. I was playing my first game, and Rob came and whispered to me, "Jeez, have you seen these guys? You see what they look like? Look at that guy. This guy." I said, "Yeah." I whispered and I said, "Rob, you and I, we like doctors here. We're like specialists when it comes to brains here. We okay here, but these guys are not." But they are.
Nothing's changed.
And then the next minute, the team manager comes to me and he says to me, they talk funny. Oi, can I have your watch and your hand? He said, "Yeah, no problem." I said, "Why?" He said, he whispers to me, "This guy next to you is a kleptomaniac. He just got out of jail a week ago." And that was what we were dealing with. So it was a different life. But it was hard for my wife and my family and everything. It was hard for me at times because I don't like change. Rob is an easygoing guy, so I battled a bit. I wasn't that happy there, but I don't regret it now, because I came back with 370,000 rand, and I bought a piece of land, and I built a home, and I put a tennis court in, and I made sure there was simple things, you know. I remember as a little boy I used to go to my friend's house. They used to have cake in the fridge. They used to have a swimming pool and all these things. But it was just, yeah, I'm just saying, you look at those simple things in life, and I don't regret it. It was a good move, and it was a great experience.
Thank
Thank you. Yeah.
Ray, you and Peter Hendricks, why weren't you not allowed to play on dry grass?
No, they wouldn't allow us to play in dry grass unless there were fire engines there because of fire. Many times the guys who were trying to chase us got burnt. Guys, no, he's talking. You see, this is coming from work, so. I mean, just a nice story, sorry. Just a nice story of Peter. They're talking about, this guy was fast, and then the guy asked, I'll never forget, we took some clients down to Durban. We started to have a few beers, and we were sitting in the stadium at Durban there. And the one guy, there was a winger playing for the Bulls, quick. And he said, Peter, do you think you were as quick as, I can't remember the guy's name, man. Do you think you were as quick as this guy here? Peter looked at him. He said, Peter, do you think you were as quick as this guy? Peter turned and said, there was no one as quick as me.
Talking about
That's a stupid question, he said. Sorry.
Did you play with Nick du Toit also?
Yeah, we played with Nick du Toit.
Northern Free State.
Northern Free State. I played against Nick here. I used to play in the wing against him. Mm-hmm. Then he went there and they called him Rambo.
Okay.
He was very, very successful rugby league player. Had that long hair. What a great human being. Strong as hard as nails. Tough guy. No, he's still living over there, and he's made it. It's his home now. But he was one tremendous guy, and it was so nice to have him there because he really was really good to Rob and I.
Tell me the 92, 93, that team, 94, 95 players. Who was the guy that made a big impression in your life?
In the team that Kitch and I were coaching.
Yeah, Transvaal.
Well, let me tell you why that team was so fantastic. And I think all you guys here that are part of it, and Swayze will know, and all the people involved with the Lions, you've got characters. And that team had many characters. Firstly, Francois grew into a very, very good captain. You know, and one of the biggest credentials Francois had, which I'll say to any senior player, if you see senior players having longevity in their careers, I've got no problem with it. But you know where I want to see it? I want to see them how they practice. Are they practicing the way they used to? Because the way you practice is the way that youngsters follow you. And I remember when youngsters came into that side that hadn't been with that side, and they came into a session where it was physical, their eyes used to pop. They got a fright because they saw the physicality, the way the guys hit the bags, the way the guys ran, the fitness levels. And that youngster realized, I'm in another level now. So Francois was always a leader. A great captain is a guy who first leads by example. Now some of the great captains in the world, this is my view, is like Richie McCaw, Martin Johnson, Francois Pienaar, Nick Farr-Jones, were leaders by example first. I mean, Richie McCaw hardly ever spoke. He could turn to his players and look at them in the eyes, and I always say to my captains if I'm coaching the side, you make sure your players look at you in the eyes when you talk to them on the field of battle. They don't look down, they look in your eyes. So you get your answer to them, they understand what you're asking them to do. And Richie McCaw had that special credential, and so did Francois. So that's what made him a great captain. His first lead by example. Besides his astute brain, and he could speak well and everything like that. And that team was tremendously fit. But the characters, I mean, Barley Swart was a character. Kobus Visa. There were a lot of characters. I mean,
James Small.
Well, James wasn't there. He left for the Sharks when Kitch and I took over.
Uli Schmidt.
But Uli Schmidt was a character. Rudolf Strauly, there's the character. Rudolf, I remember Rudolf telling me how he doesn't need to be as fit as the other players. Because Rudolf was a very skillful, talented player. And I mean, when he used to take off with that ball, it was like a rhino. You know, he was quick. So there were lots of characters there, and strong characters there. And you can see him today, if you meet them today, they're all strong characters. I mean, Barley's strong, Kobus is strong. We know Francois strong, Jaapie Mulder, Peter Hendricks was a hell of a character.
Was Henny Leroux around?
Henny Leroux, of course, and then Johan Roux. Johan Roux,
He's quiet.
yeah, he can play, he's a foreigner. But they were, you know, so it's hard to pick out one. I think just the whole team had something special. And that team, when they came down to training, it was amazing. Starting on Monday, they would know they're playing against, for instance, VP or the Bulls, and they'd start talking about it. And slowly, as the World Cup came, and they got money, and they got that money, and after we won the World Cup, the team slowly wasn't quite the same because they were doing. One was buying a coffee shop, one was buying a farm, so slowly but surely things broke away. And unfortunately, that's when a coach has to recognize it. Like when I was coaching them, and then Kitch came back. Doc Late said no, because Kitch was coaching the Fox. He said bring him back, and I said to Kitch, don't do this. This is not the same guys. But he came back. We lost 8 in a row. Yeah. And it's not the players' fault. It's just something that slowly but surely happens. And all of them were under contract. So you don't want to be a coach and say, well, you're going to be out, because they were getting letters from Doc stating if you're not in the team within 2 weeks, you lose your contract. So it was a lot of pressure and a difficult time for everybody at that time. But that team, I still say today, that was a very special team. That 95 team that won the World Cup was something very, very special. They were a great bunch of players, if you look at that side. So, yeah.
You can finally sit down.
Thank you.
This was a highlight for me, I don't know. But I think it's time to eat. We've got special potjiekos prepared by Jaco Groot, a bald guy there on the outside. So I think what we do, the two special people, Ray Mordt, Swys Joubert, if you could lead the way and get your food, and then followed by Dries and the rest of us. Thank you.